The Las Vegas Raiders just made a bold move in the third round of the draft, selecting cornerback Darien Porter. So, what does this guy bring to the table? Let's break it down. To be honest, Porter wasn't always a standout. Before this past season, he was more of a rotational player at Iowa State, seeing limited snaps, about 120 per season. He wasn't viewed as a locked-in starter, but everything changed in his final year. He finally broke out and showed real promise on the field. Now, he wasn't exactly dominating as an elite corner, but here's where it gets interesting. His athletic testing numbers were off the charts. And for many corners, that's a big part of what gets them drafted. Teams often look for upside at this position, and Porter has plenty of it. He stands 6 feet 3.5 inches, weighs 195 pounds, and ran a blazing 4.34-second 40-yard dash. His 10-yard split? Just 1.49 seconds. That level of speed and size is rare. In fact, he ranked as the second most athletic corner in the entire draft class. While his production numbers weren't eye-popping, he was 18th in production score. His athletic profile is what really turned heads. Some people are even calling him the Darius Hayward-Bay of cornerbacks this year, raw but explosive. And while that's a bold comparison, it makes sense. He fits the mold of what the Raiders need, especially in a scheme similar to Pete Carroll's classic cover 3 zone defense. Porter has the tools. If he's coached up properly, he could develop into one of the top corners in the league. But that's a big if. He'll need time, patience, and the right system. Otherwise, he could end up as just another name with potential that didn't pan out. Still, the upside is there. Porter is a swing-for-the-fences type of pick, and for a team like the Raiders, that could pay off big. Darien Porter isn't just athletic. He's elite. His relative athletic score, or RAS, was an insane 9.9 out of 10. That ranks him 5th among over 2,700 cornerbacks evaluated between 1987 and 1980-2025. For those unfamiliar, the RAS measures athletic ability based on size, speed, and strength. And Porter's physical traits are impressive. He measured just under 6 feet 3 inches, giving him the kind of frame that defensive coordinators dream about. But athleticism alone isn't enough in the NFL. Scheme fit matters, and for Porter, that could be the key to unlocking his full potential. The Raiders appear to be moving toward a zone-heavy defense, something similar to what Pete Carroll ran in Seattle. That shift could be part of a bigger plan. Just look at the recent roster moves. Players like Jack Jones and Trevin Moehrig, who were better suited for man coverage, are gone. Jack Jones, for example, had the physical traits to play zone, but his struggles with tackling limited his effectiveness. Moehrig, who once lined up in the slot at TCU, was more of a man defender too. Now, the Raiders are bringing in players who fit a very specific mold: tall, rangy, and physical. Jeremy Chin is 6 feet 3.5 inches, Isaiah Polamau is also 6 feet 3.5 inches, and Eric Stokes is 6 feet 2 inches? Darien Porter fits right into that trend. This group is being built for a zone scheme that values length and speed over pure man-to-man coverage skills. It's also worth noting that this might not be Patrick Graham's defense much longer. The moves the Raiders are making point toward a system more in line with Pete Carroll's vision. Whether or not Carroll officially steps in, the influence is obvious. In this new setup, Porter has a real chance to thrive. If he develops properly, the potential is there. But, as always, potential only matters if it turns into production on the field. Porter will have to prove himself at the next level, but the Raiders are building something in that secondary. Over the past 3 years, they've invested multiple picks into the cornerback position. Cameron Richardson was a 4th-round pick last year. Jacorian Bennett was taken in the 3rd round. And now, Darien Porter joins them. Another 3rd-round investment. The hope is that these young corners continue to grow together. Bennett showed flashes of real talent last season. At times, he looked like a top 10 corner. If Richardson can take a similar leap this year, and if Porter can develop over the next season or two, this secondary could become a major strength. One game that really stood out when watching Porter was against UCF. He was matched up with wide receiver Kobe Hudson, one of the top receivers at the Hula Bowl, and Porter completely locked him down. Hudson is no slouch either. He's considered one of the top 15 wideouts in the class, but Porter didn't give him any room. That performance alone caught attention. And while Porter wasn't widely talked about before the draft, games like that put him on the radar. He also had a standout showing against Iowa early in the season and another solid game against Houston. He's shown that when he's on, he can play at a high level. Last season was his best by far. He finished with 3 interceptions, possibly the only picks of his college career, which shows real growth. He also played in a new scheme that better suited his skills, focusing more on zone coverage. That's where Porter shines. According to Pro Football Focus, he earned a 91.1 grade in zone coverage, which puts him in the elite tier. Man coverage? Not nearly as strong. His grade dropped to 63.5, placing him in the bottom 10%. But the Raiders know this. If they use him the right way, primarily in zone schemes, Porter has a real shot to succeed. The Raiders' secondary is starting to take shape, and things are getting interesting. Heading into the draft, it was clear they needed help at cornerback. While a top target like Will Johnson went just 1 pick before them, Las Vegas pivoted and picked up Darien Porter, a player with serious upside. Porter joins a growing group of young talent in the defensive backfield. Jacorian Bennett has shown promise, and there's talk that he could develop into a top 10 corner if he continues to improve. Cameron Richardson is another name to watch. He's still developing, but he fits the profile of what this defense is clearly aiming for. The Raiders are creating a system where physical traits and smart coaching come together. Whether it's under Patrick Graham, who's shown he can design an effective scheme, or someone like Pete Carroll down the line, the foundation is being laid. Cornerbacks can be molded in the right system, and the Raiders are collecting the kind of players who can thrive in a zone-heavy defense. Veteran Eric Stokes brings experience, while younger names like Sam Webb and others are still in the mix. The competition will be strong in training camp, and that's exactly what this team needs. Darien Porter is going to be a name to watch. He's raw but extremely gifted. His development will be key, and if everything clicks, he could become a major part of this defense.